My name is Hadija Mohammed, and today we are having conversation with Madam CEO Helen Chepkwony. So one of the questions we're asking is, KDIC coverage limit is 500,000 shillings at the moment. Are we seeing that in the near future, will there be a review of that?
Yes, indeed it is true. Our current coverage is 500,000, and this we reviewed in 2020 up from 100,000. Have in mind that 100,000 had been there since 1989. We had coverage of 100,000 up to 2020. So with that review of 2020, our law says that we need to be reviewing on a frequent basis, and therefore currently we are in the process of doing that review. It should be noted that when we do a review, it doesn't mean that actually that we'll have to increase coverage, because the review determines whether what we are currently covering is optimal or not. And therefore, even during the process of review, it can either remain the same or we can actually increase it upwards.
Are you concerned that it has taken long to reimburse some of our customers? And maybe what do you have to say about that?
Yes, indeed, it is of great concern to us as KDIC. As I told you, KDIC was set up actually to protect those depositors. We are measured by how fast we are able to pay our depositors back. And it is of concern to us because we've had so many challenges that have caused this delay. And some of them are because of the low public awareness about the existence of deposit insurer. So when our depositors hear that their bank has failed, they give up and they never come to claim their money. Well, that's one of the reasons. The other one is the long litigations that take place. So once some debtors know that the bank has failed, they refuse to pay and they go to court to stop us from realizing the securities. As a result, we take so long in getting those, realizing the monies that we can be able to pay the depositors. The same thing is because of that lack of awareness. Even when we declared to pay depositors, like currently we are paying post-bank credit in liquidation, there are very few people who come up to come and claim for their money, because as I said, they are not aware. So they gave up immediately when the bank failed. So when we put in the newspapers or announce that we are paying, it's like they don't relate. And therefore we take so much of our time to try and tell the customers that we have this institution still with us, and KDIC still pursues and makes those payments. So it is of great concern, and we really monitor how much or how fast we are able to pay our depositors, and our level of engagement in terms of the percentages of how much we have paid for each of those failed institutions is what we are measured with.
What policy direction are you taking to address these challenges?
For one, we are increasing our public awareness. As I had mentioned earlier, that people are not aware about KDIC and our operations, and therefore we are increasing our public awareness to make the public know of our existence and what we do in resolving problem banks. Two, on the matter of the court cases, we are adopting the alternative dispute resolution mechanism, where we are encouraging our debtors to come to us and make proposals on how they intend to make their payments. In this, we found it a bit much easier because both of us are able to resolve that matter and therefore get payments to get to the depositors in a faster way. The other one is engaging the banks and our stakeholders in areas of ensuring that, for instance, for the banks, the completeness of the data that they submit to us, so that even in the unlikely event of a failure, then we are able to actually know the depositor and their account details and all the required documentation that will facilitate on their payments. The fifth one is on issues of the stakeholders, also the judiciary, the Ministry of Lands, and all other stakeholders that we work with closely to facilitate in this process of resolution.
What do you envision to be our quick wins in order to see prompt bank resolution and deposit insurance?
Thank you. There are a few quick wins that we are embarking on. One of them is the prompt reimbursement to our depositors, and we intend to do this through automation, where we have applications that we use to be able to pay depositors when the bank fails. That we think is a quick win, and we've already developed that for those purposes. The second one is on early intervention and early detection. We currently have what we call the electronic data warehouse, where we use data from the banks themselves to be able to assess their performance and profile them. And from there, we are able to determine on their health, the health of those institutions. And in case we see any problems that are likely to occur, we undertake some early intervention. And so we put so much effort in trying to prevent or to intervene on those banks alongside with the Central Bank of Kenya to make sure that those banks actually do not fail. Because when a bank fails, it disrupts businesses, it disrupts the economy. And therefore, much of our efforts are put into that early interventions, and whether they can be mergers or purchase and assumption. All the resolution tools that are at our hand, we are able to utilize them to make sure that those banks actually are kept alive on the other side. The third one was on knowledge sharing. We undertake a lot of stakeholder engagements with our members, with our member institutions and all our other stakeholders, for them to be aware about what we do here, because it makes it easier during our resolution process to make sure that the work is going on well. The last one is on close collaboration. We pursue close collaboration with all our stakeholders, because we know that when we have all our collaborators in place, it makes it easy for us to be able to undertake this resolution and therefore be able to pay our depositors. And these close collaborators I'm talking about are the investigators that help us in tracing properties. We are talking about the banks themselves. We are talking about the judiciary, the Ministry of Lands, the Central Bank of Kenya. They are all our key stakeholders, including the Ministry of Finance, because they help us in ensuring that in one way or another, we are able to promptly reimburse our customers.